Hello, this is TGC Requiem. I'm here with a deck tech for a deck that I hope to be playing for quite a bit in the coming months. Um, this is a deck that is based off of a list I saw from Michael Majors back in September of last year, September 2015. Um, the deck he had was called Vengeance Twin, kind of combined Kiki-Jiki, Splinter Twin, any of the usual suspects, Deceiver Exarch and Pestermite, with Goryo's Vengeance and Jace from Prodigy, um, to do some shenanigans. And so I kind of haven't been playing much Modern lately. Been trying to get back into Modern. After Detroit, Grand Prix Detroit, the Eldrazi thing, and so came back, was trying to find a deck. I picked up Legacy Elves, and Legacy Elves has got this combo that is kind of like beat you out of nowhere, can scare the heck out of your opponent. They know what's potentially coming, and so you know you have that plus the leverage of being able to play kind of a grindier game as well. And so that is a really good deck, really fun deck to play. And so I was looking for something similar in Modern, and I was hoping that this deck, this Vengeance Twin deck, could kind of be that. Granted, Splinter Twin had been banned, so that wasn't going to be the case. Kind of similar to Twin, as well. The two card combo, just kind of finish them out of nowhere. And so I started playing Vengeance Twin, and it just wasn't there. And I'm not quite sure what all the issues are or were. The big thing is I think it was too slow. And so it had a good core though. The core being using Goryo's Vengeance to kind of win out of nowhere with Kiki-Jiki on a Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite, not on one, but paired with one. So for reference, for those of you who do not understand how that combo works, Deceiver Exarch is a creature that when it enters the battlefield, you can choose to untap target permanent you control or tap target permanent an opponent controls. Pestermite has a similar ability. When it enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap a target permanent. Kiki-Jiki has haste and has the ability to tap, put a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control onto the battlefield. The token has haste, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So what happens is the Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite enters the battlefield. Once Kiki and it are both on the battlefield together, Kiki can tap to create a copy. The copy comes in, untaps Kiki. Kiki taps to create a copy. That copy untaps Kiki, and you do this and create as many as you need to kill your opponent. Usually it's some obtrusively large number like 379,128. But anyway, that's the key combo. The cool thing is Goryo's Vengeance has the ability to return Kiki from the graveyard. And so you can return a legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Creature gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step, splice onto Arcane as well, which is pretty much typically irrelevant. But basically what can happen is you could have a Kiki into the graveyard. Concept was looting it away with Jace, or possibly, with a Thought Scour or something. And then your opponent doesn't realize it, or they tap out, and you flash in a Deceiver Exarch and then Goryo's Vengeance, the Kiki, to win from an empty board. Use Goryo's Vengeance to flash it in from the graveyard. You could technically do this on 4 mana, but getting Kiki into the graveyard pretty consistently early is difficult. So, playing this too inconsistent, Jace gets killed right away. It's not easy to get Kiki into the graveyard. Trying to play the delay game, to 5 mana while still maintaining an Exarch. Part of the strength of Twin was that you could tap it, the Exarch, or play the Exarch at end of turn 3, and then immediately play Splinter Twin on to win. So if your opponent tapped out on turn 3, you were kind of golden. Well, you usually can't wait till turn 4 to cast your Exarch. Sometimes you can, so you tap at turn 3. By the time you're ready to get to Kiki, either they're prepared and kill the Exarch, or they're prepared to kill the Kiki. Combo just didn't fire as much as I'd like. So I was toying around with it. I threw in Grizzlebrand and thought, well, maybe I'll try and do a thing where I get Grizzlebrand in the graveyard early You know, if nothing else, I can just spike it to attack for 7 damage, draw 7 cards, and maybe that'll help me draw into the Goryo Vengeance half more consistently when I don't have Vengeance or Kiki or Exarch, whatever. It'll just help me draw into it. The problem I was having was getting all the pieces of the combo, because now you're talking about potentially a 3-card combo. Well, let me tell you, Grizzlebrand Edition has been spectacular. I didn't really think it would be as impactful as it is, but what the deck now has access to, Goryo Vengeance can return Jace, who is a legendary creature, Kiki, who is a legendary creature, or Grizzlebrand, who is a legendary creature. Play patterns vary, but ideally if you can get Grizzlebrand down early, turn 2 or 3, you attack with Grizzlebrand. You know, ideally you're going to gain 7 life, use that 7 life to draw 7 cards. Against a deck like Tron, you might draw 14, 21 cards sometimes. And then at end step, you discard. And you can discard your Kiki to the graveyard, typically. You can make sure you have the Vengeance with the Exarch. You can set it up so that you're prepared to go Exarch into Kiki turn 5. Maybe you pitch a Jace, and then you set up a turn where you use Goryo's Vengeance to get Jace at your opponent's end step, use the Jace draw discard, looting ability to loot, excuse me, to loot a Kiki from your hand if your opponent taps out, and then you can use Jace's down tick to recast Goryo's Vengeance on the Kiki-Jiki with Exarch. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but the cool thing is, with 4 mana, you can cast Exarch or Pestermite, untap a land, and then still have the mana to cast Goryo's Vengeance to Kiki-Jiki and just win on the spot. And your opponents are often going to be tapped out because they're not going to see the combo coming. This is one of those things where maybe this deck over time becomes more well known, and therefore it becomes a little more difficult to play, but there's just a plethora of lines where you can just kind of win out of nowhere. You know, your opponent won't expect the Thought Scour to flip the Kiki or Grizzlebrand on turn 1, end step of turn 1, etc. Faithless Looting to put the piece in you need for a little filtering. Snapcaster to recur any number of spells. I know I'm kind of bouncing all over, but it's just because I'm excited about this deck. It's been really pretty fun in testing. Now, while it's a little bit of a combo, and a big part of my goal was to create a combo that scares the bejesus out of people, the other thing that this deck needs to do, or I want it to be able to do, is grind. And so some of the choices are a little probably bizarre if you're looking at it as a combo deck. Only 2 Faithless Looting when we're trying to get Grizzlebrand into the graveyard and Kiki into the graveyard. You know, only 3 of our reanimation spell and Goryo's Vengeance. And, you know, all these Thought Scours instead. Well, basically I wanted the ability to really delay a game, fight a game, into a position where I could win with the combo, have ways to win outside of the combo, and have the ability to basically sideboard completely out of the combo in situations where I wanted to. So a lot of the choices here, the fewer Faithless Lootings, not all 4 Goryo's Vengeance, not all 4 Grizzlebrand, not all 4 Kiki. This is to allow us to run Lightning Bolts, Kolaghan's Command. Kolaghan's Command can actually discard a card for yourself. You can target yourself, allowing you to discard your Kiki at end step. And if you have 4, you know, your opponent's tapped out, you have Exarch, Goryo's Vengeance, and Kiki all in hand, you can end step Kolaghan's Command to discard Kiki, and then on your turn, Deceiver Exarch, use the Goryo's Vengeance, or untap a land, use Goryo's Vengeance to reanimate Kiki for the win. Again, I've kind of mentioned lines where you can turn 1 Thought Scour into, say, a Jace, and then your opponent's end step, a turn 2, you Goryo's Vengeance, Jace, draw discard Grizzlebrand, your Jace flips over, then you use your Jace down tick to use the Goryo's Vengeance to reanimate Grizzlebrand, attack for 7, draw 7, etc. Or even you play Jace and your opponent just kills Jace turn 2, because that's a thing people do. And then turn 3, your end step, you just Goryo's Vengeance Jace back, draw a discard, put a Kiki in the graveyard, use Exarch on your turn 4 to untap a land, play the Goryo's Vengeance to reanimate Kiki for the win. And this kind of happens late game too. So again, has the ability to grind a little bit, has the ability to switch into a late game situation. Now, I think we've touched on all the cards. Snapcaster obviously just for reanimating any of these, or reusing any of these spells. Sometimes it's just a chump blocker. The Remands I'm not 100% certain with. It's possible these could be something else, but it offers a little value when I'm looking for more counter magic. The other thing we have is we have a Desolate Lighthouse, which gives us another way to discard a card to the graveyard when we need to, and filtering. That's both good for the combo. It's also good in a grindy, longer matchup where the card selection matters. Minimo, School at Water's Edge, tap, add blue to your mana pool, legendary land, so blue mana that comes in upright. With no downside, and then it has the ability pay blue and tap to untap target legendary or permanent. So this is great because when you go for the combo, if your opponent goes to say path your Kiki or your Exarch, if you have spare mana up in a later situation, you can use Minimo to untap Kiki and then start the combo over while their removal is on the stack. Likewise, you could use it to speed up a Jace flip if you needed to flip Jace faster. You can tap him, use Minimo to untap Jace. You can also use the Exarchs to untap Jace to get a second tap if you wanted to try and get a flip. Lots of cool stuff going on with this deck. I'm super excited if you can't tell. Sideboard, we have a variety of things. We have some counter magic just to bring in when we need it. Dispel specifically is great against burn or specific spot removal when you're trying to protect the combo. Negate can also be good against that, but also great against Tron, excuse me, Tron walkers, or if somebody tries to bring in Rest in Peace, this is a good way to try and cut that. Gets Liliana, negates Liliana as well. Thing in the Ice is good for when we're playing aggro decks or when we want to go the more controlling route. Thing in the Ice is a defender that enters as an 0/4 with 4 ice counters on it, and basically when you cast instants or sorceries, those ice counters come off, and when you cast your 4th one and the last counter comes off, the card flips or transforms into Awoken Horror, which is a 7/8, and then when you do that, you return all non-horror creatures to their owner's hands. This allows you to flip mid-combat and bounce all their creatures back to their hand, almost like an Aetherize, which is pretty sweet. Really works really well with the sideboard plan where, say, we want to remove Grizzlebrand, or if we want to pull out Jaces because they're too slow, or whatever the situation is. The one thing I must say, though, is Jace is ridiculous in this deck. He is a phenomenal enabler, especially with Goryo's Vengeance in hand, as you can bring him back from the graveyard to flip and discard one of your key pieces to combo. Another thing you can do is you can end up just attacking Grizzlebrand straight into your opponent for 7. Sometimes you do that twice, or they do damage to themselves, and then you just draw into enough bolts to finish them off, say the following turn or something. It's pretty awesome. Vendilion Click, when we want to play that more tempo control game, Click gives us a way to disrupt our opponent's draws, as well as it is a 3/1 flyer, so it helps with getting the damage in when we're trying to play that route of evasive. And we can actually, again, target it with Goryo's Vengeance should we be in a situation where both those cards are available to us. We can flash it back as a blocker, and when it blocks, we'll also get the potential hand disruption. It's also worth noting that Goryo's Vengeance, when the creature dies and goes back to the graveyard, it does not get exiled at the end of the turn at the next end step, and so that kind of allows you to sometimes reanimate the same creature multiple times. The other thing is, technically there's a turn 3 win with this, because the card says return legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step, which means you can Thought Scour Kiki to the graveyard turn 1, or you could Faithless Looting Kiki to the graveyard turn 1. Turn 2, your opponent taps out, in theory. And then at end step, Yugorio's Vengeance, returning Kiki, and then turn 3 play a land, Exarch or Pestermite for the win. So potential turn 3, not something that I've typically gone for. I don't know that I've actually had that happen yet. I've only been playing this newest iteration of the deck for about 2 weeks, or a week and a half even at this point. But maybe not even that long. But I've been playing a lot of it since I made the changes with Grizzlebrand and the Faithless Looting and whatnot. Anger the Gods for just those go wide beatdown decks. Grim Lava Mancer, kind of the same thing. Blood Moon for those super greedy mana decks. We can actually easily play off of no access to black because Kiki and Exarch is all we need so long as we have our island. So Blood Moon's great there. Keranos for long grindy control matchups, and Electrolyze, which is again just to help us in those tempo matchups where we want to keep card advantage, we want to have spells to flip thing in the ice, and we want to have we're probably going for elusive damage followed by burn. So this is the deck. We're going to play it in the league tonight. Hopefully we run pretty hot. Been doing pretty well with it in just the in the tournament practice room rather for the last week, and playing with buddies and friends. So this is Kiki's Vengeance. Let's get it on.